Ladies and gentlemen, we are back for the 2023 Dutch Grand Prix watch along. If you're returning from our qualifying analysis stream that just happened, welcome back. If you're new here, welcome to the stream. My name's Blake, former F1 engineer for Red Bull Racing and Force India over a 10-year period, working with some of your favorite drivers as their performance engineer at the track, and a long chunk of time as a simulator performance as well, working a simulator performance engineer working on car development. We are starting the Dutch Grand Prix watch along. Tsunoda, grid penalty, Magnussen starting from the pit lane, top four, Verstappen, Norris, Russell, and Albon. And we've got a very hungry Fernando Alonso and Carlos Sainz behind them. But yeah, I'm pretty excited. So everybody on the grid except for Hamilton is on a medium tire. You can see this here on the little side. Where is it? There's Hamilton on the medium. Very, very interesting. And like we said in the pre-race show, you may not lose that much performance because the run down to turn one is so short. Sunset Wingman in the stream says, let's go Texas, people. What's up, man? Welcome to the stream. I am from Dallas, Texas, actually. Ripswar, welcome back. Everybody, I appreciate you. Also, dude, thank you so much for the super chat, the $20 super chat in the performance analysis stream. Welcome to the stream. Also, if you haven't checked that out, go to that link there. There's the free practice 2 analysis, all the detail from FP2, including high fuel pace analysis and everything else. Versatility with another $20 super chat, dude. Love the data analysis. Thank you for the great work. Can you figure out Aston and help them? I think Aston has a very bright crew of men and women, and it's just a little bit of a struggle. And to be fair, they're not doing too bad. If you came off of the back of last year and where they're at now, you wouldn't be mad. I think we just got a little bit teased about how good they were at the start of the season, and I think they can turn back to it. Gail Howard asks, I hope this gets saved. The lives will be saved. So if you would like to sync your multi-viewer to me, set your live delay to, I believe, set your live delay to 30 seconds and you will be in sync with me. You'll see the timing tower at the top here, counting down shortly. And those should be synced up with me. So we're on our way on the laps to the grid. The drivers are putting some heat in the tires. They are getting the brakes up to temperature. And yeah, Magnussen starting from the pit lane. Lawson chilled out yesterday in qualifying. It's his first time driving this car on these intermediate tires, with the exception of with P3. So Ricardo, unfortunately, out with a broken wrist. And if anybody's wondering why people kept typing 30 seconds in the chat, if you go and watch the Drive to Survive Season 1 official trailer on YouTube, you'll hear an American voice at the beginning doing something like 30 seconds, 30 seconds. That was because I was still at the track as Max's performance engineer for the first race of 2018. 2017 was my last full season as a trackside performance engineer. And I decided I wanted to go back to the factory and work on simulator performance engineering and car development and data analysis techniques and method. Netflix doesn't owe me anything for that, but that's just a nice little, a funny trivia for you guys. I was really gutted that I wasn't in the episode because the footage that they used from the garage for episode 1 was from like Spain or something, because Hugh was in all the shots as performance engineer. You've lived long enough in the UK to say you're from the UK? No. So, drivers are lining up on the grid. Max Verstappen is stationary, and we've got about 2/3 of the grid left. Everybody doing a variety of burnouts to try and get temperature in their tires. Unfortunately, the longer you sit on the grid, the closer up to the front you are, the more stationary time you're going to get. So, everybody's kind of straggling at the back. Get a couple burnouts in, trying to get a good start. Lance Stroll, notoriously good at race starts, and he's starting from P11 today. But yeah, the race start and track position is going to be super key. I think Max will be able to come past any of the cars if they overtake him, so he just needs to keep it clean. But I've got my fingers crossed for Alexander Albon to have a killer race. Right, green flag across the back. Lights out. Max with a good start. Lando not with a bad start either. George Russell hanging around, keeping his nose clean. A couple puffs of lockup. Albon up the inside. Nope. No, he's kept it clean. Oh my God. Oh, that banked corner is so beautiful. Everybody keeping their noses clean. No dramas. Magnussen they waited a huge amount of time to let Magnussen out of the pit lane, and there is rain falling. Everybody on the soft tire except for Hamilton. As I said at the start of the race, Hamilton could take a risk for that. Albon falling back. Sainz has got Albon there. Bottas up 6 on the race start. Bottas has had a killer start. Sargent down 6? Oh, Sargent, terrible start. Are there a couple... I mean, there's definitely drops on everybody's cameras right now. This is going to be chaos. Oh my God. Who pits? Who pits? I mean, it's straight in. Are they coming in? Are they coming in? Lawson's in. So Perez, Leclerc, Gasly, Zhou, Tsunoda, and Lawson and Magnussen have all boxed. Perez could have a great result out of this. Well, imagine the rain only passes and holds off for just a second. Ferrari with that howler of a pit. What are they doing? And they're going to get held. Come on. No, Ferrari weren't even ready for the intermediate tires. What are they doing? This is amateur hour at Ferrari. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. I mean, let's look at sector times. Let's look at sector times. Sector 2 was about a 28 in the dry. Let's see what it's doing now. Nobody's shocked about that Ferrari pit stop. Nobody's shocked. So the sector 2 is 8 seconds off. Sector 2 is 8 seconds off. Be on the right tires at the right time. Anybody that's gone out on the inters, if it keeps raining, is going to win out massively because the other guys will have to potentially pit after losing loads of time. Perez's sector 2 is a 29, so Perez is 7 seconds faster in sector 2. Verstappen's sector 3, Lando's thinking he can keep it out on wets. Easy. Is that Russell? Russell having a look? Russell's come through on... Oh my God, look how slippery that is. Max is in. Oh my God, this is going to be an amazing race. Russell, Norris, Albon out front. Perez has come through Albon already. Perez up to P3. Perez up to P2. I mean, Perez is 6 seconds a lap faster than the runners on dries. Hamilton dropping back on the medium. Hamilton doing a lap longer than everybody else. Perez is flying on these inters. Let's go. Perez is leading the race by 4 or 5 seconds right now. Oof. It's the conundrum. You don't want to give up track position. You don't know how long the rain is going to last, but Russell's last lap was a 47. Norris was a 47. Albon a 48. What's Perez going to do? Perez is 20 seconds a lap faster than the people on dries. Leclerc having a little bit of struggle with grip even on the inters. Albon's still out on the soft. Box this man right now. Box this man. Norris pitting down to P19. Verstappen back up to P4. Here's the thing. You talk about being on the track at the right time. You lose 20 seconds a lap from a pit stop, roughly, probably less here because it's a really short pit lane. But on the dries, they were losing 20 seconds a lap. So staying out a lap is the same as your pit loss. The people that maybe have to pit twice will win out if they pit early, especially Perez. Zhou P2. This is mad. This is absolutely mad. And if anybody's wondering, the timing here on the stream is provided by Multiview for F1, and Multiview for F1 is the only way to watch Formula 1. It requires an F1 TV Pro subscription, but I highly rate it. If you go on my Instagram or my Twitter, you'll see a picture of my layout from yesterday. I've got my main race feed, and I've got 4 drivers up right now, and then the timing feed. I've got all the drivers' AI radio transcriptions, and the race control messages. So let's look at the big shockers from the start of the race. Hamilton and Sargent down 9, Hulkenberg down 4, Norris is down 13 positions, Russell and Albon down 9, Magnussen up 11, Zhou up 13, Gasly up 9, and Perez up 3. The rain is stopping, but even then, you don't know how much wetter it's going to be, but a 20 seconds loss is a pit lane. Russell on an outlap on inters now. Russell down 15. Why on earth is Piastri still out on slicks? I mean, he's only lost 6 positions. He's 50 seconds off. And right now, the track is only about 5 seconds off in Sector 1. 29. Let's see Piastri's next sector. 36. Yeah, I mean, you're still losing 20 seconds a lap. Asian Skills says, how about this race, huh? How about this race? Verstappen and Gazman. Max is like, dude, get out of my way, bro. Oh! Lawson got a 10-second penalty for impeding. What happened there? Does anybody understand that? I missed that entirely. Does anybody know what's happened with Lawson? Sector 2 into 3 still pretty slippery. So on the wet or on the dry tires, we've got Albon, Piastri, Bottas, Hulkenberg, and Sargent. Albon is in a bad position. He's down 11 positions with Russell. Now Albon is matching Russell's lap times in Sector 1. He's 5 seconds off in Sector 2. Not surprising. That's your grip sector, and that seems to be the wettest. The grid changed so much because it rained on lap 1. And a lot of people have boxed for intermediates. You see on the side of the stream here, you've got a couple people on softs and a lot of people on inters. The softs are towards the back, so people that stayed out on the wet track lost a position. People were losing 20 seconds a lap from being on slicks. Now, Perez pit a lap before. Verstappen pit a lap later. And Verstappen basically lost 20 seconds-ish, maybe a little bit less than that. And Max is already 8 seconds, 7 seconds behind Perez. What if they were on slicks or thicks? Wait, there's already a drying line forming, but we could have more rain again. Verstappen's last lap of 122. People on the slicks are in the 132s to 134s. It's still an intermediate track. Rain is also coming, so how long do you run these inters in the rain? When there's a lot of standing water on the track and the intermediates are worn, you lose those little edges because the intermediates don't have big blocks like the full wets do. They just have like grooves cut in them. And once you start losing the edge on those grooves, you lose a lot of the ability to move water out of the way, and the tires aren't making so much grip. And you can see Perez here looking for damp patches to keep these tires cool so they generate grip, and also so they don't abrade the tread blocks off massively. So they'll be looking after making sure you're not sliding the car in with understeer, you're not applying the throttle too aggressively to spin them up. So Sainz has been told that Leclerc has a damaged front wing. What they need to do is they need to let Sainz straight through, but obviously they're not. They're going to amateur hour this. Their pit stops are terrible. Their pit wall are indecisive. I'm not saying I could do a better job, but I can sit here and see it clear as day. So Perez's last lap, 3 seconds, nearly 2.5 seconds slower than Max. Max's gap down to 5.6 to Max. They need to let Sainz through. Okay, he's done it. They've done it. Good. Let's look at lap time evolution between Sainz and Leclerc as well. I think Perez has got the hurry up. Perez has done a green sector 1. But Verstappen's still half a second faster in sector 1. Design with Simon says, for I need to accept that Sainz is a more consistent driver, slower than Leclerc, but more consistent. Maybe so. So, our slick tire runners are now faster than intermediate runners. But let's see what Russell has to say on the radio. 2 or 3 minutes out, so that's 2 to 3 laps, right? But let's look at this picture right now. We've got Verstappen, who went out a lap later, lost a lot of time on the slick, and then the furthest up soft runner, who didn't start that far behind him, is Alexander Albon. He is 60 seconds behind Verstappen now. Verstappen could pit for a fresh set of inters if he needed to, and still be well ahead of people that stayed out on the slick. So obviously, pitting ASAP was the right decision. That's in hindsight. You know, the second lap you stay out and you see people having lost 20 seconds on that. People were basically just trying to see how bad it was. And it was bad. So Kevin's put on a new soft. Put on the right tire at the right time. The thing is, they're on crossover. They're not faster. Hamilton's on slicks as well. But like at the same time, this could pay off. Be on the right tire at the right time. Fastest lap, Piastri with a 1:19. He's currently 3 seconds faster than Verstappen's last lap. DRS is now enabled as there's enough runners on the dry. This is absolute chaos. I love every second of this race. BRS enabled. Be on the right tire at the right time. It's better than, more often than not, being on the right tire at the right time is better than waiting to see what the right tire could be, or what it will be in 2 laps. Verstappen can box ahead of Leclerc easily. We have 2 more laps, and if that rain's not there, they've missed it. So Perez coming through the final corner. Let's see what he does. Perez stays out. Verstappen is in the pit lane. Verstappen in the pit lane. Verstappen's covering Leclerc. And if he puts on a soft and the track is ready, he'll easily stay ahead. Good stop for Red Bull. Solid. Leclerc in as well, so he'll have clear track. Damage asked if we know where Leclerc picked up front wing damage. Not clear. I wonder if they're going to change Leclerc's... yeah, they're changing Leclerc's front wing now. So he's losing enough performance that they'll add 6-7 seconds, maybe 10 seconds to the front wing so that he can make up the most of it. He's going on softs as well. So as far as new tires, it looks like Verstappen's run both of his new sets of tires. Lost in his pit and served the penalty. Smart move. Okay. Bit of a tank slapper with the McLaren at turn 12 for Leclerc. Checo might be able to... Where's Checo going to come out? Yeah, Checo should be just ahead, I think. Nope, Verstappen comes out just ahead. Just behind him. Alonso P3, Gasly falling back. P4, Zhou overtaken by Sainz. Interesting. Good comms there from I'm the Secret Ingredient. Yepa says Zhou's on the medium right now. Let's see what tires they have left. Zhou Guan Yu has 5 new sets of softs. Verstappen only has 2 new mediums, 2 used mediums. That's the same for Perez. Leclerc has 3 new softs. So... Alonso pit exit behind Zhou. And he just sends it into turn 3. Zhou left the door wide open for him, mate. Yeah, since they've used the Inter, tire choice is free now. So they don't have to run 2 sets of dries, or 2 different compounds. They can run... Did Max undercut us? Yeah, he's ahead of you. I've just lost my race feed for a second there. What happened to Mercedes? A series of unfortunate decisions, unfortunately. Rain in the pit lane? Are you guys crazy? Albon on damage control? Maybe. Albon's laps are fast right now. Last lap is on par with Verstappen. Norris, purple lap right now. Fastest lap of the race, 16.2. Russell says, I was forecast a podium. Governor, how did we mess this up? How do we this up? Rain in the pit lane, ladies and gentlemen, again. This is going to be one of those chaos, amazing races. Albon with a purple Sector 3 right now. Albon just behind Ocon, getting a nice toe there for sure. Magnussen up 13. What has Magnussen done? What has Magnussen done to get there? So Magnussen pit on the first lap off of the soft, did the inter, and then as soon as the medium was ready, he went straight onto the medium. I've got to give it up because they've had some serious bozo moves this season on their pit wall. But, yeah. Verstappen told to take care of his tires? Yeah. I called for an all podium. Turbo, good to see you, man. How you doing? Piastri's come off of the inters onto the softs. Is that? No! Safety car. Oh my god. No way. Lap 16, Logan safety car. Mm. Mm. Why? I'm gutted for them, man. Yeah, Piastri lost out massively from that. Gasly sped in the pit lane. Yep, that's a 5-second for Gasly. He can serve it at the next stop. I mean, that Williams car is difficult. Albon's doing a great job, and Logan's having a very difficult time. Piastri lost out because he pit as the safety car. Very unfortunate for Williams, indeed. Napton edits, that name sounds familiar. Are you okay? No, I crash. I don't know what happened. Oh, Logan says something failed on the front right when I hit the curb. Is there going to be some onboard for this, or do I have to pull them up myself? Come on, director. Russell's going on to hards? That's a Hail Mary. I thought so. Good to see you, man. Welcome to the stream. Tell your dad I said hello. Let's see Sergeant's video real quick. I wish I could show it, because I could do a pretty good job at TV production. I'm not sure why Piastri pit. Let's see this real quick. Yeah, Piastri went onto new softs. Maybe the softs were just screwed up. All right, I'm just looking for Logan's video. All right, here's the onboard. Playback speed, half speed. Rain in 35 minutes to Red Bull. Yeah, but like we're trying to project rain that far out is not very Summers is saying break by wire failure. Oof. I'm just watching Logan's video real quick while we're on the safety car. We'll have to look at that lap later because it looked like Logan just... Yeah, hard to say. We'll wait and see. That was really weird. The onboard from Logan's car was very strange. Carl thinks you cursed. Nah, you didn't curse him. Well, we're on lap 19 now. We're behind the safety car. The pecking order is Verstappen, Perez, Alonso, Gasly, Sainz, Zhou, Leclerc. We need to go back and look at these strategy calls. This is going to be a very interesting report for the Buy Me a Coffee later. And if you haven't checked that out, and you've got... don't leave the stream, but if you feel like it, check this out. And there'll be the data from FP2 is up there for everybody, and members have access to everything else. So. Can they do 50 laps on hard? Well, I mean, I don't usually put too much weight in Ferrari's prediction, but they think that, or sorry, in Pirelli, same thing. Pirelli think that the hard can do quite a bit. Should Albon have pit under the safety car? I'm not sure. What from Piastri's tire history can you tell? Not much. He just stayed out on the soft and lost a lot of time when it was super wet, and then was a little bit faster at some point as well. The safety car is still out. I don't believe Pirelli's predictions because they're usually nonsense. They're right sometimes, but a broken clock's right twice a day kind of thing. Andres says, look at all those McLaren fans. Yeah. Even the track map is orange right now. Bert's got an interesting question. He says, how do you forecast the pit strategy in general? So what you'll look at is the tires' outright pace, and you look at the amount of degradation they have, and you run a bunch of simulations to say, you do what's called a free air simulation. So you look at an optimal strategy with no traffic. What is the fastest way to the end of the race? And then you start there. And then you have other considerations, such as, are we in traffic? Will we be held up? When can we pit, considering how fast the other people are? So you'll also do strategy simulations for your opponents, as well as yourself, after you do your first round of free air simulations to see what's the fastest strategy. So you're trading off how much time you gain by putting on a new tire, plus how much time you lose in the pit lane, plus how much time you're losing by going out on a tire that's losing lap time every lap. And the other thing is, the free practice 2 runs these days, they're not long enough. They're not long enough to tell us anything. You know, you very rarely get into a place where you're getting substantial degradation. So you really have to lean back on your historical knowledge of how this compound behaves on a track with this much energy. So, yeah. Does that kind of make a little bit more sense? Design with Simon says, do you factor in your driver's driving style? Let's put it this way. You're really only in this instance working with lap time numbers. If you know, for example, one of your drivers is, let's say, 0.2 off, your strategy predictions for that driver will include those numbers potentially, or maybe not. Checo's thinking plan A from here, and we don't know what their plan A means. What advice would I give Russell to get back into the points? Be on the right tire at the right time for the rest of the race. But Russell's gonna try to do 50 laps on a hard, maybe. Yeah, Carl, Carl, I'd really like to do a short video on how strategy simulations work at a very base level. I think Bernie Collins has done one on F1's YouTube. Very worth looking at it. How fast does the safety car drive? The safety car basically goes as fast as it can. Because if it goes any slower, the F1 tires will struggle to generate temperature. Don't you think what they're doing to Checo is unfair? What do you mean? It's hard to tell what plan A is. I have no idea. I don't understand that, Kanishi, because at the end of the day, it's not unfair that his teammate is faster than him, so... Yeah. Max undercut him? They didn't know which one was going to be better. Stay out a lap, go in a lap. Exactly. Yep, it says Max was 2 seconds per lap faster than on the inters, and we'll go back and confirm that later. More than to Checo? Yeah. Safety car ending. Oof, oof, oof. They're backing it up. They're backing it up right now. Max is slowing it right down. Oh my god. Decent restart. Verstappen leading. Any changes there? Nope. Max just sent it, man. Perez sleeping on the restart a little bit. I mean, Max has had a lot of opportunities to practice restarting strategies. No, I've just resynced my stream. The YouTube delay is about 2 seconds, 2.5 seconds. Twitch is about 2. So what do we got? Let's look at... There's a reasonable gap between Sainz and Zhou. Everybody else is pretty stacked up. Lawson also a little bit sleeping on that restart. Strolls up his gearbox. Albon is on his original set of soft tires. He's in P8. I mean, Albon only down 4. Magnussen, right tire, right time. Albon gets Magnussen superior top speed on the Williams. Yeah. I'm not sure. It's just like they kind of made their bed and they're like, fuck it, let's just stay out. Bottas has done Piastri there. So Albon on Magnussen. Oh. What is Magnussen doing? Magnussen chopped him. That was such a sketchy chop from Magnussen. That was bad. Multiviewer, nice hat. Cheers, dude. That's the actual multiviewer here. What a legend. Also, that setting that you told me to change has been perfect today. So we're at 23. Perez up 5, Gasly up 8, Zhou up 9, Ocon up 8, Magnussen up 11, Tsunoda up 7, and everybody else is kind of losers. Bottas is up 4. Big oof from K-Mag. A safety car lap, it's probably 2 or 3. A safety car lap is probably 2 or 3, maybe even more laps of advantage. Like, safety car laps don't really put that much damage on the tire. What multiviewer setting did you change? I changed start stream from start. Yeah, don't worry about it. After safety car, it's probably about 2 laps. Incident noted for Magnussen. Yeah. On board with Ocon. Ocon absolutely zooming. Go on, Ocon, around Magnussen. So, Piastri on the freshest tires, on the freshest softs right now. Piastri sending it. Bottas isn't done with Piastri yet, though. I'm going to have a beer after the race. I'll put a picture in the Discord. Versatility suggests it's still pretty slick offline. Yeah, there will be. Black and white flag for Kevin Magnussen. If he does that again, he's in trouble. That's a severe reprimand, that, and a warning. Don't do it again, Joker. You... On board Hamilton looking at Leclerc. Oofed. Oofed. It's a driving standards flag is what that is. Medium-sized bonk, yeah. Hamilton on Leclerc. Down the inside of turn 1. He sends it. He did send it. Hamilton up to P12. Hamilton is up 1 from his starting position now. But Checo's hanging on to... I mean, Max has just set a purple lap that last lap. But Checo's hanging on to him right now. 2.7 seconds. Fine. More disappointing season for Ferrari versus Mercedes. Absolutely Ferrari. I'll do a quick poll on that. What do you guys think? Who is more disappointing? Ferrari or Mercedes? I've sent a poll in the stream there. I want to know what you guys think. Alonso's in DRS once it is enabled. If I was a bad team, it would work mostly on next season's car than this season's car. I think it would help. I think that's fair a lot of time, but one thing to consider is, since there's no major regulation changes planned for next year, as far as I know, anything you're working on now and applying to this car will benefit you next year, unless maybe you're Mercedes and you need to do a new chassis concept, for example, for their side impact structure to move that around so they can put the side pods and stuff where they want them. Then maybe, yeah, you might say, let's focus on next year. That's a very interesting discussion, and it's kind of hard to understand what the optimum thing to do is there. But I tend to agree with you in some instances. Maybe if you have a big philosophy change, you need to focus on next year. But at the same time, a lot of stuff people are learning applies to next year already. Design with Simon, I agree with you on that one. Alonso's just holding on. I mean, and Alonso, top speed right now, reasonable. Their sector 2 time, not great, but it's not like Perez is pulling a gap to him. All this is going to do is going to let Verstappen open to Perez, but still, the gap from Verstappen to Perez is only 3 seconds. Tom with it perfectly stated there. Mercedes usually under-promise, over-deliver. Ferrari is always over-promise, under-deliver. Oof. Yeah, Alonso's dropped off a little bit. Tsunoda forced Ocon off the track? I missed that. What would you do for Albon right now? I would try to manage that soft tire as long as I can, and probably go medium or hard at the right opportunity. 44 laps to go, probably on a hard right now. If you're two-stopping Albon from here, that might not be ideal. Lap 27 from Yeppe. Yep, race control confirmed, lap 27. Oofed. Tsunoda almost pushed him into the wall? Oofed. That's classic Ocon move. Rain expected in 15 minutes. Oh, Starcrafty's channel says, I voted for Mercedes because they've actually been world champions in the last decade. You guys voted more disappointing Ferrari, 69%. Oofed. Oofed. Russell, the worst off from the race start. Russell absolutely in the mud in P14. Let's talk about Russell's strategy so far. So Russell went soft, stayed out on the soft for quite a long time, the longest of 4 laps. Inter, he did one of the shortest inter stints as a result of going on to that late. He's gone for a soft, and then I believe around the safety car, he pit for a hard. So a little bit of a potential Hail Mary to try and recover that race for Russell. Staying out on the soft so long but at the race start really put him on the back foot. Robert says it's getting darker. It is getting darker. Coffee Set says I voted Ferrari by accident, but I have zero expectation for them. Oofed. So we've kind of the top 3 have settled down. Verstappen, Perez only 3.7 behind him, so it's been 3.5 or so. 3.7 behind. Alonso's now 2 back. The question I've got: does Gasly have any chance of having a look at Alonso soon? Let's look at their top speeds. Alonso's speed trap fastest is a 311. Ocon's got a 323. That's probably a DRS in a tow. Hard to say. Gasly holding steady, yeah, 1.5. Last lap, we've got Sainz setting a personal best. When the camera after Tarzan corner 1 pans towards the grandstand, that's the direction. Understood. Max confirming the dark clouds coming in. Max will be managing his tires because he has been instructed at some point to manage his tires. Let's go through Max's radio real quick. So over the last several laps, the race engineer has been giving Max gaps. So over the last laps, GP's told him mode 6. So you're free to manage tires, Max, he said. 1.5. Management is good. So they're definitely managing tires. GP confirming the next lap. Management is good. Just keep it up. And then GP slowly feeding him the gap to Perez. So last lap, same pace as Checo. Checo's still giving away 2.5 tenths at 7 and 8. So Checo's saving the tires through the high-speed corner more than Max right now. But Max's engineers confirm they're happy with that level of saving. And let's switch over and look at Checo's radio messages over the last couple laps and see what they're saying. So same story here. Perez's engineer Hugh is giving him gap to Fernando. So Max is managing more in 7 and 8, but giving it back in 9 and 10. Gap to Fernando now 3 seconds. So they're really, right now, I feel like the front runners are managing tires. So Robert Peters is suggesting we're going to get heavier rain more than the beginning. Let's see what Alex's engineers are telling him right now. Alex is saying his front right tire is not great right now. So we're going to go even further. So they said plan B plus 10 for Albon. So I'm assuming Albon's first stop lap was maybe they were going to try to go long on the soft anyway. They saved a bit of tire wear on running it in the wet. Yeah. Hard to read that message from Albon. Interesting message there. Alonso's engineer Chris told him, so Russell's car is the only one on hard tires, and he's dropped back to P17. So maybe Alonso's kind of pulling back and forth with them, saying, if we put a hard on, can we do something interesting? Albon's lap times, yeah, 6 tenths off of the fastest. Not a problem at all. Really, they're probably pretty happy with that. Albon holding it 14 seconds off. So feedback from Bernie is suggesting on the pit stop deal with Alonso is they covered Alonso first with Verstappen and then Perez after. But we'll have to look at it. We'll have to look at that after. Yeah, I exactly what Bernie just said. I think we need to go back and look at that pit stop strategy after the race. Leclerc also with a damaged floor? Possibly after that collision, yeah. Verstappen being a mad lad as usual this year. Love it. Morgan Hayes Photography says this track looks like it'd be a blast to drive. Absolutely. Again, the gap at the front separating quite a bit. Kanishi with a great point there. This year is actually pretty interesting considering it's just Max that's super fast and everybody else is really interesting. So I would completely agree with you. The Stroll comment. Low-key toxic. So Russell's lap times, last and best is 17.3, 16.4. The people up front are doing 115s, low 116s. I don't think Russell's hard is featuring yet. Tsunoda's doing 116 fours, Lawson 117 threes. Tsunoda on a slightly soft, one step softer tire. Logan Sargent sitting at the side of the track looking dejected. That's a really interesting point from the broadcast from Bernie. Piastri will have to fit a medium because he hasn't run a wet. Bottas hasn't run a wet, but he's covered. He's run 2 compounds. And Albon has to run, unless there's another wet, unless he fits a wet tire at some point, he's got to run a medium. He can't run soft. I mean, it could be that Sargent can't get back to the pits from where he is without being harassed by spectators. Bert asks, what's the division of labor between strategists back at the factory versus trackside? I'm really not sure what it is right now, but usually there's the main point of contact to the track, and then there's 2 strategists or more at the factory, one of them focusing per car, someone looking at other data streams, and then feeding back the information to the head strategist who's at the track. And Red Bull have an interesting arrangement where they have their primary point of contact at the track changes between Hannah Schmitz, who you see often, and I believe possibly 2 other people. So it's not always Hannah who's at the track. And there's 2 or 3 of them that rotate, and there's even a 4th person at the factory. Pirelli, what's up, bro? Yeah, Sargent gets into Q3 and crashes in the race. Uncle Elias, yeah, correct, man. I that caught me out as well. The race is going well. We had just to recap real quick. The race start was chaotic at the start. From the race start, lap 1, we had rain on the track. Everybody on soft tires for the race start. Rain came, some people risked it, some people didn't. The people that got onto the fastest tire, so moving quickly to the inter and moving quickly back to the soft when it was ready for it, are the teams that gained the most. Robert, so how can I sync my stream with this? So if you use multi-viewer for F1, which requires the F1 TV Pro, you can set your delay on multi-viewer to 30 seconds, and you'll be in sync with me. And then if you see at the top, the timer is synced up. There's a link there in the chat from Miss Hellcat as well. Thank you, Miss Hellcat. All right, so Joe has pit. Joe's come off of a 27 lap old medium. So Joe was early adopter of the Inter, ran it until it wasn't fast anymore, and then medium for an age, and now he's onto a soft. He has 34 laps to do on a soft. I reckon Joe will have another pit stop. Who's your favorite F1 driver? I've got a couple favorite F1 drivers for different reasons. Leclerc down 6 from a terrible starting position. Sainz up 1 from sitting P5. Albon currently down 2. 16 ones. I mean, let's put it this way. Albon's on a 38 lap old soft, and he's only 0.2 a lap faster than Sainz in a Ferrari on a 10 lap newer soft. Feedback from the commentary. Bernie Collins is suggesting, or said that Alonso's race engineers said the medium doesn't look good. Let's check Alonso's radio. Weather update from Fernando. We think it's dry to the end. In about 5 minutes, you might get an odd drop. 5 or 6 minutes, slightly more, but nothing heavy. Tires, target plus 10. What level are you at? What level? No rush on the answer. That's asking Alonso how hard he's pushing. So earlier, so Sainz has been told the soft tire life is plus 10. The pre-event suggested the fastest race was about 20 laps on the soft, but we're already with people. Albon's done nearly 40 laps on a soft. Are they too conservative on this tire prediction again? I know it's a high demand circuit, but Liam up 3, closing on Leclerc right now. Yeah, Leclerc damaged car. Charles impeding Lawson? Can't say that. Oh, Lewison having a look, but he's not taking any risks, but he's still in there. He's going to tuck back in there. Lawson through into 12. Lawson overtaking a limping Leclerc in a Ferrari. Go on, Liam. Leclerc coming back at him. So now he's got to think about that DRS trick. When do you make the call to retire the car? If you're Ferrari, just before the race starts, that's usually the best. Go on, Lawson. Dana, what's up, dude? Good to see you. The AlphaTauri is not that impressive in terms of straight line, I don't think, in general. Sainz has boxed off of a 31 lap old soft. What does he come out on? But he could split this and go to a new soft to the end. Can the leaders make it to the end on softs, Jack? I don't believe so. They would have to be doing a 60 lap stint on a soft. Leclerc has pit. Yeah, so it sounds like the damage on Leclerc's car was getting worse and worse, so they decided to retire his car, save the engine. How long can the softs last? Well, we had Sainz stopping off at 31, I believe. And there's people on 32. I think most of the people are looking to probably... I mean, Verstappen's 3/10 off of his fastest lap, which means there's still performance in the tire, so it's in the temperature window. The only question I have is, when does the wear start becoming a limit? I'm convinced Alex will pit on the last lap for full wets. Can they? Ah, Toon, that's a interesting one. Norris in. Doom Traveler asks, residual damage from Leclerc's shunt? I believe so, yes. Felix Beringhoff asks, how much information does one engineer have to process during a race? How many data channels are there? Are they monitoring? Is this qualifiable? It's sort of qualifiable, but it's not about like the pure number of data channels. It's more about a process, if that makes sense. So imagine, I'll put a scenario to you. A performance engineer is looking at tires, brakes, difference to your teammate, brake balance and differential settings, and a couple of other things. And each of those questions aren't necessarily always related to each other. Like when you say, I want to know about the car balance, you are looking at your diff and your brake balance and the tires. But like you kind of like what I would do is I would, be like, right, let's check on how this is going. And I'd go through, look at this, check to the teammate, fine. And then I would say, okay, how's this doing? And I'd go through that, and then I just repeat that process up over and over. If there's anything interesting to inform the race engineer of, I'll tell the race engineer. If, let's say, the driver's losing a load of time somewhere relative to his teammate somewhere, I would tell them, well, hey, GP, we're losing time in turn 7 every lap. Focus on the entry speed rather than the exit speed, or something like that. The tire rule is not void. The tire rule is only void if you've run an inter. Drivers that have not run a wet weather specification still have to run both. So Piastri has run 2 softs. Albon is on a single soft. So, yeah. Well, Piastri has to fit something other than a soft now. To the end of the race, unless he fits a wet, Piastri has to fit a different specification of tire. Albon has pit after 44 laps on the soft. Hamilton having a look at Tsunoda. Tsunoda is currently up 12 positions. Hamilton up 7. Fastest laps between them. Hamilton a 15.7. Fastest lap, Yuki only at 16.2. Their last laps were quite similar, but Hamilton, Yuki, so much grip on the top line there. Norris doing a 14.905 last lap. Fastest lap of the race. Yeah, Albon was running up to P5. And that's a recovery from back in P15, so. Checo boxes after 33 laps. We kind of expected them. Hamilton in the pit lane on 36 lap old softs. Yeah, Verstappen will cover. What's Verstappen's gaps? I mean, Verstappen, if he pits now, who did Perez cover? Is Alonso going to overcut Perez? I don't think so. I mean, their lap times were not different. That one time I wanted a nice, uneventful race to get Norris and Albon some points. Albon could still do it. Gasly's boxed. Yeah, Verstappen. Verstappen probably pitting soon. I don't think he's worried about Alonso, honestly. Gasly's boxing now. Hamilton. All right. Piastri's to mediums, it sounds like. Yep, Piastri will go to the mediums on the end. Max will be pitting eventually. He comes out behind Alonso, but Alonso on a similar age tire. Watching Russell. Russell on the gas man right now. Yeah, Gasly served his penalty. Gasly should be able to pull away from him. How on earth is Yuki fourth? Yuki will pit soon. Gasly's the only one that's come out behind him, though, so. So Perez has been told Alonso's yet to pit. We need to make these tires last to the end of the race. Perez targeting 28 laps. That should be fine on that soft. Alonso's in. Alonso will just come out behind Perez ahead of Sainz, I reckon. Yep, that's correct. On board with Alonso's stop. Slow stop. Front left would not come off. Huge stop. Is he going to come up behind Sainz? Yes. He is coming out behind Sainz. And maybe even Tsunoda as well. Yeah, and Tsunoda's through as well. Will from work, what's up, brother? Great to see you. Warzone content creator extraordinaire in the chat, ladies and gentlemen. How are we doing, man? Great to see you here. A fellow YouTube streaming convert. Be sure to check him out if you're into Warzone gamers. Norris on Hulk, easy claps. Max is in the pits now. Max will come out 5 seconds ahead of Perez, I reckon. 5 seconds ahead. Verstappen for another set of softs to the end of the race. 38 on that previous set. You know, everybody thought these softs were going to be like 20 laps. Albon's like, hold my beer. What did Albon do? Albon did 44 laps. Yeah, Verstappen 5 seconds ahead. Alonso closing on Sainz. Alonso on a 7-lap newer soft tire. I would not be surprised. Alonso's last lap was terrible. What happened with him? Last lap of 138? What did I miss? He lost 20 seconds overtaking Tsunoda. Oh, he pit stopped. Sorry, he's pit stop onto a lightly used soft. That's why. That makes sense, yeah. Sorry, I completely forgot because he's got a used tire on. Ocon's engineer, 15 minutes potential rain. Yeah, I completely brain faded there. But of course he had the slow pit stop, slow front left. I mean, Tsunoda, I don't think Tsunoda can do 60 laps, 62, 63 laps on this soft. If Tsunoda has to pit again, yeah, he'll be out of the points if he pits again. Oscar Piastri's AI transcription says Captain Tsunoda is 16 seconds. He meant gap to Tsunoda, and they interpret it as Captain Tsunoda. Oh, that's a good one. Alonso on signs, easy dubs. Alonso podium, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, I don't think Alonso can challenge Perez. However, yeah, a little bit of intimidation. The smooth intimidator on the smooth operator. Tsunoda dropping back. Tsunoda's lost a wee couple positions the last couple laps. He's intimidating me. Yeah, Yuki falling back, indeed. What's Russell doing? Russell's only down 3, so despite messing up at the beginning of the race quite badly, 56 lap on the hard when the soft can do 40 plus. Not bad. The thing is, something that we can't see is the teams can look at where they're likely to finish the race by projecting what they think each tire is going to do. And I think that was a more calculated decision than we think, because we think, oh, putting a hard on this early, that's a stupid decision. But they probably didn't have a full picture of how the soft and medium were going to perform, but they've guessed. And I think the soft has performed better than expected, so. Yuki saying something with front wing damage. Check, please. McLaren total. If we look at the total number of positions lost, McLaren have collectively lost 12 positions. Yeah. Yuki hit Russell with the front wing. Noted. If something happened, you should check what it was. It was you running into Russell. So potentially heavy rain, 10 laps to go. So at this point, you just have to be decisive. Remember, a single lap on slicks can cost you 20 seconds like it did in the first. Staying out on the slicks costs you 20 seconds relative to intermediate runners. So you want to watch out for that. Yeah, so you know with wing damage and old tires. Yeah. What's Lawson? Lawson uneventfully bringing the car home in 18th. No major dramas for Lawson's race. A reasonable pace compared to those around him. It's hard to say what's going on with Bottas, but honestly, the Alfa Romeo is kind of a shed. Honestly, it's a shed. So Alonso's engineer telling him, Chris Cronin there, saying, when the rain comes, it'll be heavier than the start. So that means definitely an incher at least. Give me the heavy rain. Yeah, sign me up for that. I'm here for it. If anybody's new to the stream today, you're just tuning in for your first watch along, welcome to the stream. If you're new, wondering why I'm doing this, I spent 10 years as a trackside and simulator performance engineer across Red Bull and Force India, and I'm now a full-time content creator focusing on analytical, educational Formula One content. So if anybody's wondering, I didn't get fired. After 10 years of doing the same thing, I was like, you know what? I think it's time to do a change. I was either going to go back to university or do something else, and I thought, you know what? I'll give streaming a go. So now we're back. I'm doing this full time. I make YouTube content. I do live streaming. I make TikToks. I do some other stuff. And I really enjoy sharing technical, analytical content about Formula One with you guys. And if you're wondering, how do I learn more about this stuff? You should check out this link in the chat below. It's the Buy Me a Coffee link. There's a lot of free stuff if you go to posts there, but members get access to even more. So full qualifying analysis every week, full race analysis every week. And it's the kind of content you will get nowhere else on the internet because there are no other performance engineers making content. So when they quit their jobs and come hang out with me to make no money, maybe I'll have some competition. But I feel like I add a lot of insight and interesting discussion points to the conversation that you're not going to get anywhere else. And yeah, so I appreciate you guys hanging out in this live stream. It's great to see a lot of familiar faces and a lot of new faces here. This has been a really, really chaotic race. Hey, Robbie, dude, thank you so much for the $5 super chat. The content's fantastic, and I love watching along and learning a lot from you. I appreciate that, man, dude. Thank you so much. I'm only here for the cats, and I haven't seen enough of them lately. Yeah, Barry and Sterling are, they're not in the hallway there, so I don't know where they're at. Alonso, purple lap last lap. 10-second gap to Perez. Maybe if we get some rain at the end, we'll see a shuffle up. What are the eventualities? What are we going to see happen for the rest of the race? Russell's going to go to the end on this hard. Tsunoda's got to pit again. Like, I don't think Tsunoda can do another 15 laps on that soft. But they're going to definitely try it. Oh. Sainz and Gasly having a go. Well, if you're Tsunoda, I don't think he's got much tires left to burn out. So there's two things that happen on tires. When you start to remove all the rubber from them, they stop generating grip and they stop generating temperature, and then they just lose grip more and more and more, and it goes into this vicious cycle. So when you talk about like hitting a cliff in terms of tire degradation, which we don't see much in the last 5, 6, 7, 8 years, yeah, you will see those tires hit a cliff and lose performance rapidly. McLaren's had extremely suboptimal strategies today. Piastri stayed out through the intermediate conditions on a slick. Norris waited to go to a slick at the inter, and then came off the inter earlier than others. Yeah, not great. Sam suggesting rain 2 minutes away. So 2 laps away, and we're going to have some big rain. If the rain comes, Russell could be laughing. Maybe. I think the rewards are going to go to whoever puts on the right tire at the exact right time. Tsunoda's race, unfortunate. In relation to where he was, yeah, definitely. But even like, I don't see Russell improving massively on this without some, huge moment from Russell. Hamilton sniffing. Oh my God. Russell on those hards. He is currently a second and a half slower than Hamilton. Hamilton's coming past. Hamilton's coming through here on the final corner. Huge snap. Great reaction from our man, George Russell. Wow. And he's like, you know what? I'm screwed here. I'm gonna let you through, Hamilton. Hamilton goes through. I don't think the hards are necessarily done because he's still doing 116.8s, right? Well, I'm looking at that. The hards are done. Never mind. Gasly's done signs. Gasly up 8. Is this Gasly driver of the day, chat? Gasly driver of the day. A lot of data to manage to do the right call, yeah. And a lot of extrapolation, which is the dangerous part. Oh, everybody's in. Whoa. Slow stop for Perez. Terrible stop for Perez. Perez gambled early onto the Inters. Oh, a terrible stop for Inters. Sainz in. We missed that. Everybody pitting. Verstappen stays out. Sectors are reasonable for Max. Chaos in the pit lane right now. Max is in. Max says I'm staying out. No, Max is in. Max is in. Yeah, Max is pit. I love how Max comes back to GP. GP's like, this would be a very good time to pit. And Max says, okay. Great quote from GP. So, people that have stayed out, we've got Alonso, Albon, and Ocon risking it. Ocon, is he going to throw away an amazing drive up 10 positions? Alonso out. Okay. Ocon is in, Albon's in, everybody's in. Lawson's been lapped. And Lawson appears to be on used Inters. Lawson is on 8-lap-old Inters unless there's an issue with the data. Oh my God. Norris, Russell, and Albon in a gaggle. And they're all down 5 positions each from where they started. Funny that. I'm just watching sectors very closely. The range should be increasing in intensity as we go right now. Perez has dropped a slot. Perez with the spin at turn 1. No! Braking in turn 1. Oh. Lots of standing water at turn 1, says Andreas. Ooh. We got 10 laps to the end. 10 laps to the end. Ocon has gone for a full wet tire. Ocon is the only one on the full wet. Replay with Perez. No, he just couldn't stop the car. Tried to rotate it. This rain's taking me back to the BTCC at Knockhill. Was it moist? Zhou. VSC? Oh, Zhou is in the bases at turn 1. Verstappen in the pits for full wets. VSC, full wets. Zhou is okay. What are they going to do here? If Zhou can't get it out of the bases on his own, they will safety car that. Zhou fully implanted in. They're going to have to repair the Tech Pro. Perez is pitting. Red flag. Red flag. Oh, Perez is pits, and then he gets red flagged. No. Ooh. Are they going to reset the order for Perez? So if they don't restart the race, Checo will keep his position before stopping. But if they restart, Checo restarts from the back, according to Karun. So the TV crew's suggesting that they really shouldn't have pit Perez there. Verstappen P1, Alonso P2, Gasly P3, up 9. Honestly, yeah, if there's this much rain, limited visibility, they're not going to keep a safety car out and try to recover a car at turn 1. They're going to red flag it. Tsunoda off the track on the inters. Tsunoda's got a 5-second penalty. Zhou fully sending at turn 1. Zhou didn't bother with the brakes. Wow. Yeah, he didn't stand a chance to slow that down. Hamilton P5 says Napton edits up from, yeah, up from P13, I believe. Not bad. Sunoda outside the points. He's going to have a 5-second penalty on the rollback. I'm not sure where he'll be. Hamilton had a little excursion as well. Yeah, like honestly, that wasn't even like Hamilton was pushing. It's just way too much water for that. Shane says, what is the rule for the places in the red flag? I believe it will roll back to the last completed lap. Chat, give me 1 second. I'm going to do a quick, be right back. I am going to go for a quick pit stop since we will have a little bit of a rain delay. So give me 1 second. All right, good news. That was a clean stop. Yeah, fuel only, no tires there. So, let's have a quick chat real quick while we've got this rain delay. Let's go over let's do a little chat. Let's see what we're thinking about what the race so far. What are you guys thinking about? And what am I analyzing today for this race report tonight? I'm working on the race analysis report over on the Buy Me a Coffee. What are we analyzing in this? I think quite clearly we're going to look at the first stop going straight in. Another thing that's interesting to me is potentially going back over the races so far and looking at the total positions gained. Thank you so much for that. There's the fixed link. Dilshan, thank you so much, man. Genius strat for Pierre Gasly. Let's go back and look at what he's done. So Pierre Gasly pit on lap 1. He rode the inters, I believe, quite a bit longer than the others. And then he's just done soft. 35 laps on the soft, about the going rate for the softs. Another soft for 14 laps and quite early converted to the inter, I believe. Order for the restart from I'm the Secret Ingredient. 1. Who's I don't know driver numbers. Perez will be P3. That's 11th. They are allowed to change tires. 14's Alonso. So the restart order will be Verstappen, Alonso, Perez. Yeah, it looks like they will. I mean, right now the plan is to do a restart. And one of the things to consider is they are going to have to do a reasonable Tech Pro barrier repair right now. Anthony Perez has copied the order. Verstappen, Alonso, Perez, Gasly, Sainz, Hamilton, Norris, Russell. Is Hamilton not ahead of Sainz? No, you're correct. You are correct, Anthony. Thank you so much for that transcription. Sainz, Hamilton, Norris, Russell, Albon. Hey, Lynn, good to see you. It'll be probably a rolling restart. So it looks like they are doing fairly reasonably at repairing the Tech Pro right now. Safety car to clear water, very likely, unless they will definitely start rolling behind the safety car, and what they'll typically do is get feedback from the drivers on the conditions and visibility. Felix Beringhoff asks another great question. He says, it'd be interesting to look at pit calls from past races in mixed condition. Was it always the best to pit immediately when it started raining, or better to wait, or is it possible to generalize? I would say for any instance where it lasts more than 2 or 3 laps and it's strong enough, the drivers who tend to go onto the correct tire earliest, which is a gamble without foresight or hindsight, or without foresight at the time, you want to be on the right tire at the right time, always. They will probably restart on the full wets. They should sneak Shaw back in the race. I don't know about that. Versatility, I reckon they will come out on full wets. And remember, the full wets don't have blankets now. The full wets. And are the inters blanketless as well? They have to restart on full wets. I think they might tell you. Gary Anderson probably copied that from someone else, but that's a great one, James. Be on the right tires at the right time. Be on the right tires for now. Don't try to be a hero. On the secret ingredient, Yeppa's got a good details on Lawson's penalty. Lawson double stacked their cars to change tires, leaving car 40 sticking out into the transition lane. And they impeded car 20 for close to 10 seconds. Okay. So they basically, stacking in this pit lane might not be possible without impeding cars. So there's fast lane, transition lane, and then pit lane. The wets are blanketless, I believe. What do I think about the straight line speed between the Williams and the McLaren? I can tell you now. So in qualifying, McLaren and Williams straight line speed was 2 kilometers an hour in qualifying. So far in the race, McLaren has been so far the top of the speed traps. Did Max touch the wall in his pit entry, or Perez? Oof. So what I'm familiar with and how I'm used to seeing the tire strategy work, when you're going from dry to wet, it's the driver makes that call when the conditions are too bad, or when the pit wall sees that, like, for sure huge rain is coming and you have to be on it. So going from dries to wet, driver slash pit wall call. But going from wets back to dries, you, a lot of the time you dictate that, first of all, making sure there's not standing water. If there's puddles, you can't drive through them on a slick. Maybe you'll risk it, but you're typically going from wets to dries, looking at lap time. And something that's a good rule of thumb, a good crossover is something like 15% slower than a slick is when the inter's ready to put a slick on effectively. Exactly, Andres, with a great point there. Is this just a normal Sunday? Is the weather in the Netherlands always this crap? We do not have a time for restart. We do not have a time for restart yet. An interesting thing is the race control messages say that awnings may be used in the pit lane. So that's clearly them saying, you know what? It's wet. So you guys, we're going to be here a couple minutes. Go ahead and put your tents up. But it can go really random, the weather in the Netherlands. Got it. We're actually probably waiting on the delay based on track repairs. And it looked like they made pretty good progress at turn 1 barriers. Do you know, Miss Hellcat in the chat knows this song. Great comms from Yepa again. Track clear has been sent. Wait, I don't see that yet. Are you still ahead of me? Because we got a red flag at 15:31. Sector 2 clear at 15:31. Who do I expect to be on the podium? If it's a restart in the wet, we could have anything happen. It could finish like this. That slow-mo of the tire change is so good. Are the wet tires theoretically still useful? Theoretically, yes. In practice, no. Is there any chance for a standing start? I don't think so. The Red Bull pit wall is full, suggesting to me that they're preparing for a restart. I think that the pit wall is full because that's how they can communicate with everybody else. Is Max seemingly always pitting a lap too late? Napton Edits says, I wonder if Alonso takes Max at the restart. That would be wild, wouldn't it? I think Pirelli still need to be working on designing a more drivable wet, but what if Pirelli aren't the tire manufacturer for 26? What place is Raikkonen right now? He's dead last. I had to go for a bit. The red flag was a blessing. Perez will be restarting P3. I'm just putting the race restart order up on the screen right now, since we've got time. Some of you guys have had some very, very excellent questions today. I'm really enjoying the YouTube crew with the big. There is the restart order there for you guys. Ray, thank you so much, man. Will the DRS will not be active for the first several laps, especially not on the wets. This is my first race watch this year. I'm hyperfixating on Formula 1 after getting a bit hooked on F1 Manager. This race is insane. I think this race is an exception. I think this is very exciting and interesting race. Who are we missing? Are we missing anybody from the restart order? Does anybody want to amend that for me? Let me know where they go, because I don't know. Yeah, we're missing quite a few drivers. Give me the driver and which drivers they go in between. All right, never mind. Forget you guys. Too difficult. Nope, it's gone. I'll paste the list in and somebody complete it for me. Here are the driver numbers, if that helps. Why is Stroll literally nowhere? Alonso does a really good job in that car, and he's much faster than Stroll. The rear of Perez's car is getting some attention from the mechanics. Best youngest driver? Piastri question? Can somebody I don't know yet. Can somebody confirm that Zodiac's order is correct? Yep, okay, you guys, Harsh and Zodiac confirm the same thing. Look at the rainbow. The fans love it. They're just like, you know what? They're dancing and singing. So much energy. You guys, you guys have way too much energy, honestly. There's the race restart order. Somebody remind me to remove that once we get back going. Rain seems to have stopped completely. So we're waiting for more feedback from race control. Everybody that's new, just tuning in, welcome to the stream. How we doing? My name's Blake. Used to be a performance engineer for Red Bull Racing and Force India. Now we're doing analytical, educational Formula One content on YouTube. And every now and then we do qualifying and race watch alongs as well. So there's damage in turn 11 as well. Interesting. Race control will give directions on which tires to restart on. Oh my god, the vibes in the grandstands are absolutely insane. Fernando's just been given a message from his race engineer, B-bow +1. So just asking him to change his brake balance offset. So there will be more rain in 15 minutes. I think so. I could be incorrect, and I'm happy to be incorrect. Somebody will correct me, or I'll correct myself later. I believe they've changed it so that you can pick which tire you want to do the restart on, be it an inter or a full wet, so that you don't have everybody smashing it into the pit lane to stop. I believe that was the change. I could be wrong. Nation, welcome to the stream. Having a great day. I'm having a great day. Hope you're having an awesome one too, and welcome to the stream. Yeah, so they're warming up the cars, firing them up. How much team clothing do they give you for free? Loads. I basically, I don't keep much of it, but I kept a t-shirt or a team polo at least from every season. So I have 3 Force India tops and 7 or 8 Red Bull tops. I just finished work, caught bits of your stream here and there. I like you streaming F1 stuff on YouTube. I'm glad, man. Yeah, so if anybody's wondering, I've been streaming all of my F1 stuff on Twitch for an age, and I've decided to move all of my F1 related content, live streaming and videos over to YouTube, just to kind of have it under one roof, you know? Yeah, David suggests, I think the race has been demonstrating Max's class throughout the race. This has been completely under control, for sure. Well, I would like to see a standing start, but I have a funny feeling a standing start will lead to another safety car. I think they'd rather get the race finished than a standing start. They'd go straight into a red flag, but I think they might go for it. Is the restart order the final order if they don't restart? I do believe that is the case. Michael, you're good, man. Don't worry about it, man. I'm glad you're here. The super chats are a really nice way to support the stream, but also if you want to support the stream, also check out the Buy Me a Coffee, and you get something back for that every month other than just being a super generous, kind person. Like, honestly, this is, if you like Formula One and you want to support my efforts in making content and analysis for you guys, members over on Buy Me a Coffee get access to all my qualifying and race and any other newsletters that I publish for the price of a coffee a month. I bought you my friend, but you've done more than that, Versatility. I appreciate that. The F1 streams are way better on here. I appreciate that. Clutch discs are manufactured out of house. Potentially the baskets are made by the teams, but the clutch materials and stuff are manufactured outside. Carsco Vroom says, I can highly recommend the Buy Me a Coffee. It gives you a whole new layer of interest. I think it makes it a lot more interesting. And I feel like the Buy Me a Coffee is approachable, but there's a lot of details. You know what I'll do real quick? While we're doing this, I'll give you guys a quick tour of the Buy Me a Coffee, since a couple people are asking about it, and I'll show you what we've got working over there. Will somebody let me know when we get a note for a race start, and I'll take the time, and since you guys are here for Formula One, I will fill the gap rather than chatting nonsense. I will share with you some pretty cool stuff. How does that sound? Let's go over here. So this is my Buy Me a Coffee. And it's basically, it's like Patreon, but I publish a pretty cool newsletter. So you go over here, it's a way to support me, blah, 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 but that's fine. Membership costs £5 a month, and here's what you get for £5 a month. So let's go back real quick. You might have seen this video on YouTube. This video did very well. And I've published a lot today. Andreas says, as a trackside engineer, Andreas is a motorsport engineer. He says, if you'd like to read something as close to a real competitor report and motorsport analysis, take that. So here's something. So here's the video. You can find that on my YouTube. But what I did is I went through and looked at the race, and I was looking at, I was like, you know what? Max is really fast and consistent. Let's look at this. Let's go back and try to understand what's going on here. And then I found, by looking at his data, I was like, this is really interesting. Why are the Red Bulls lifting off here? I was like, okay, so let's look more and more to this. So come to find out, by spending a little bit of time, I speculated that Red Bull had set up their car too low. And that is why they looked like they were potentially sandbagging. They weren't sandbagging. They were protecting their car from excessive plank wear, which is a legality thing. Race restart in 10 minutes. Race restart in 10 minutes. So that's like a special topic that I do. But for example, here is, let's go back. Here's the Hungary race analysis. Here's the Hungary race analysis. So one of the things that we always look at for the race, and I'll generate after the race is over and we get the data off of this, this is the gaps on any lap between all the drivers in the race. So what we'll do is I start with this, and this kind of gives me a picture of what's happened in the race. And I'll see all this, and I'll be like, right, let's start with that, and we'll look at the interesting stories. We'll see where they pit stop. You know, if see how Max is gaining on Norris here, that means he's faster than him. And then we can go and take this a level down and dig into this even further. So here's some info from Pirelli. Here's the starting grid. If you're wondering what tires people used when, this is people's tires. You can tell the used tires and new tires here. Honestly, I should add a legend to this. And of course, that's glitched. Here's another chart, which is just the positions. Here's their lap times. I'd go through fuel correcting them. Here's a cool one. This shows you who gained positions, where they started and where they finished. And this kind of stuff is like the stuff that I do every race weekend. Here's a new one, actually. This is a really, really cool race start analysis. So you can basically see Verstappen is the reference. He pulls away from Hamilton, but also Piastri and Norris get a toe on him. So we go through this and we will analyze and explain all this in these reports. So if you're interested in this kind of thing and you want to add a little bit more level to your understanding of Formula One, I publish a lot of really interesting stuff over there on Buy Me a Coffee for the price of a coffee a month, and I feel like I think it's pretty good value because there's nobody else has experience doing this that's publishing this stuff. The Buy Me a Coffee things are gonna be helpful for my honors project. Let me know if you need any help. So, race will be restarting in 8 minutes, and everybody must restart on the intermediate tires. Only datas? Yeah, that's basically what it is. Go on, Andy. It's funny seeing your old buddies at the racetrack. Let's see what the commentators have to say. I've had them muted for a while. What software are you using for the generation of these charts? So I use Python. So I'm using Matplotlib and Seaborn. What does it take to become an F1 strategist? Good understanding of mathematics and statistics, and then over time you build up a understanding of the context. And everything in racing and motorsport, I feel like, is about context. Have we discovered which F1 team bosses subscribe? No, we haven't. I haven't shared that, and I'm not going to out them like that. In case you're wondering, it was a joke, but there was, and I confirmed it was the case because your email address is registered to the account, and yeah, there's definitely a team boss that subscribes to my newsletter, but I'm not going to out them. Do all teams get access to tire temperature data? No. So how the telemetry works, Nathan, that's a great question. So the temperature and all of your telemetry, teams have their own telemetry. You don't get access to that. But the kind of stuff that I'm showing you, teams are looking at that stuff the same way I'm doing it. So for example, the fact that I can see this data, everybody else can see that data as well. So the stuff that I can see, all the other teams can see. How much did you enjoy the news about Python integration in Excel? I didn't enjoy that at all. So the race will restart under a rolling procedure, and I think that probably makes sense. Raj asked, do you use Jupyter Notebook? I do use Jupyter Notebook for all of my workflows, and maybe one day, I don't share my code, but maybe one day I will do a stream where I do the race analysis report live on stream and just kind of talk you guys through it. But Ferrari strategy is based on the Buy Me a Coffee. That's why there's a few days late. What would you comment on the nasty politics inside F1? The only nasty politics inside F1 are people on the outside of the sport getting offended on someone else's behalf. Domesticated Mallard with another great question. How has the advent of simulators changed how teams approach free practice? Do they have different priorities now that they can do so? I would say this. Yes, it has changed, but the thing is you don't have much testing time, and your emphasis really, really needs to be on having good models, good correlation, and a useful simulator to help feel the car balance. And you should show up to free practice one with nearly the best setup on your car within the realms of what your models can predict, and then use the track to gather the variables that you can't predict and understand where your performance is. Does any of this analysis involve calculus? No, honestly, like performance engineering doesn't. It's not like you need a good understanding of physics and the equations of motion and everything else, and a bit of understanding about how tires work, which is not particularly deep level. Like a performance engineer is not a tire expert. They don't need to be. So yeah. Morgan Hayes Photography says, people with drivers as their Twitter profile pics is the worst part about F1. I have to say with you that more often, if I go through my block list on Twitter, all of them are either Lewis or Max Verstappen profile pictures. That's not any kind of bias. It's literally toxic fans blocked. To be honest, regarding the team principal thing, people generally read some stuff in the media. A lot of it's pure garbage, some quotes, and also undercut videos. Yeah. David asks, can I ask how much the simulator actually helps with car setup? It helps severely. As my last 4 years in Formula One were focused on preparation, operation, planning simulator sessions, planning tests, and looking at performance goals and directions and analyzing the data. The simulators and Formula One teams are absolutely instrumental. Another thing is you have to have a good wind tunnel, you have to have a good aero map and good CFD and be able to predict the aerodynamic changes to your car. But everything else, the simulator requires good data in, good results out, and then understanding where the data is not strong and keeping that information close and being like, I cannot use this result to predict this thing, but I can use it to predict this. Knowing what you don't know is insanely important. So, confirmation, safety car is going to stay out for 2 laps. We're starting on lap 7. So I think we get 5 laps to go, but the safety car could stay out longer. Elvin Chatoria asked, do the teams run race simulations with thousands of different possibles? Yes, they will. Now, the tires, they're starting on intermediates. So the FIA have said you have to start on inters. Safety car will be out for a minimum of 2 laps. It will be a rolling race start procedure. How close is an F1 simulator to a recreational sim setup? Absolutely nowhere close. Good consumer level simulator. All right, so they're sending the cars that are out of order around. So Perez is going to go do a lap around, and that will be actually... That's pretty good for Red Bull because they get a reconnaissance lap to understand the conditions. No, so many people are doing that right now. Perez, Norris, Russell, Albon, Piastri, Ocon, Tsunoda, Stroll, Hulkenberg, Bottas, and Lawson all doing a little wave around lap. So there's the race restart order. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to hide that now. Yeah, they're effectively unlapping themselves. I have a funny feeling that the data off this race report is going to be really chalked because of this. The wave round just depends on the cars that are out of order in the pit lane. Carl asks, what's something surprising that came up when you were doing data analysis? Something you're like, wow, I never would have thought of it like that. Nothing really comes to mind at the point, honestly. There's a lot of things that are really interesting to understand the significance of. But yeah. So these cars are unlapping themselves, coming back into the pit lane, then they'll slot back in. Arctic Bulk Toaster, thank you so much, man. Sunset Wingman's got an interesting comment. It seems that odd that you have teams of hundreds of people and you don't allow them to test the cars between races. There's no time for them to test the cars between races. There's 24 races a year. Like, they wouldn't... They're getting a lot of info. There are no fans in the radiators of Formula One cars. That's why you see teams with big leaf blowers. So they're going out behind the safety car. With moving the cars with dollies, yes, but some of the cars will be out of sync in the timing, so it basically tidies up all the issues. Simon, you do appreciate that, man. The budget cap in this regulation set has done an excellent job of compressing the field, I believe. The ability to follow is better. The gap's not that hard. The second year in a regulation set, the gap is not that high from top to bottom of the field. So I think people that are continually saying the regulations didn't work are just unhappy that their team's not doing a good job. Charlie, what's going on, man? Welcome to the stream. How will AI affect jobs at Formula One? It's not having much of an impact now, and I don't see it having a massive impact for the next 5 to 10 years. Is it normal to check all of the gears in a situation like this? Yes. So the gearbox has to learn the synchronization of where all the gears are, because the way these seamless shift gearboxes work, you basically are selecting the gear that you're in is selected, and you select the next gear at the same time and immediately pull the next gear out. So yeah, you have to learn the synchronization and where the timing of all the teeth is. So you need to select each gear and run it at full throttle. So light rain, more coming towards the end from Chris to Alonso. Yeah, and I think also Yepa has a good point. They misinterpreted the regulations, those that are upset about the results now, meaning that the entire grid would be closer. The entire grid should be closer as a function of the cost cap and the aerodynamic testing restrictions, but the cars are certainly able to follow more closely for more laps and race closer together at the start. The grid is much closer except for Max. Agreed. No, I'm not really sure about the rules, and like predefining the amount of downforce you lose is like doing that in the wind tunnel would not be the way. I don't see that working very well. And even WEC have like you have an envelope of downforce and drag that you can make, and they only measure it in straight line. So safety car will come back in, and we're going to get a rolling restart very shortly. Where's my track map? There's my track map. So Verstappen, safety car is entering the pits. Verstappen's backing everybody up there around turn 13 right now. Real quick before we get to the race start, Turbo GSR says, do you have any thoughts on the 2026 engine regs? Yeah, I hate them. And I'm going to do a video on it soon, but I'm trying to do some simulations to explain it. So Max has going green, pulling away from pretty much everybody. Any changes? Any shenanigans? Who's close? Hamilton is close on Sainz. Norris is close to him as well. Perez had a sniff of Alonso. He didn't want it. Perez speeding in the pit lane. Noted. At the end of the reconnaissance laps. So, Karun talking about the wet racing line a little bit there. So it's not the normal dry line. Is Perez going to get hit with a 5-second penalty? Yeah, you can't. Yeah. That's a 5-second penalty for Perez. Done. Yep. Slam dunk. Perez is getting knocked. And that sucks so bad because 5 seconds on a restart like this with the cars so condensed. Fuck. You can't do that. You cannot give up points like that. Alonso's... Yeah, I mean, Perez needs to be pushing. Alonso, 1 second behind Verstappen. Perez is second behind that. Russell. Where are you going, Russell? What's Russell doing? Russell's pit? One minute 25. We're on Inter tires right now. Does he have damage? Is he missing a front wing? He collided with Norris? Or did Norris turn in on him? Gasly will, at this rate, finish P3. It doesn't look like he's any out of this under any threat from Sainz. Did George do a bit of terrorism on him? I'm so gutted for Perez. Russell fault, we're thinking? Okay, watching the replay. Onboard racing incident? I don't think that's a slam dunk by anything. I don't think that's a slam dunk or anything. Let's radio. .7 gap to Alonso. Perez holding on, but they need to let Perez overtake Verstappen and run up into the lead 5 seconds ahead. So Gasly 2.9 to Perez. Could be another fourth place. It's going to be a third place, Crofty. Come on, mate. Dawes says you want to like Perez, but he's making it difficult. Yeah. Hamilton looking at a little move on signs. Hamilton up 7 with a decent recovery. Russell down 14. Despair. From bad to okay to worse for Russell. Gasly v Ocon. I don't know. Tough one. There's a lot of interesting comments about Russell, considering strategically the team fucked him today a couple of times. So not really sure what's going on there. I'm the secret ingredient says Perez clearly doesn't want a 2024 contract. The British torpedo says Sreyas. One lap to go after crossing the line. Perez within 1 second of Alonso. Hamilton maybe on signs. Will we see Hamilton on signs? There's 1 lap to go after they finish this one. Rate the race. This is probably an 8 or 9 from me, honestly. The chaos I really enjoyed. I really enjoyed the chaos. Michael Bell says, to be honest, as a Checo fan this season, I'm completely worn down. I feel you, man. I like Checo. I'm a big fan of him, but just the performance this season is not... It's not what you want to see from him. Hamilton nearly touching Sainz there. But Sainz is making his car just as wide as it needs to be. Oofed. Does Sainz, can he smooth operate it, or is he going to get smoothly intimidated? Perez likely to finish. I mean, if Perez keeps it up, he will finish ahead of Hamilton at this rate. But if Hamilton... Yeah, he'll finish ahead of Sainz right now. Perez should finish P5. He swaps with... Or sorry, P4. Sorry, he swaps with Gasly. Gasly podium. Wild. Wild. Verstappen, 3 wins in a row in Zandvoort. 9 in a row for Max Verstappen. Holy... Verstappen's 9th consecutive victory, tying Vettel for the record. 1 more, and Max Verstappen is the record holder. Martin Garrix waving the flag there. Great podium. The podium has been updated to reflect the timings. Verstappen, Alonso, Gasly, Perez. Perez with the 5-second penalty applied. Hamilton, 6/10 behind Sainz. Just couldn't get it done. Absolutely wild there. Lawson, P13 up 6. Russell, the biggest loss of the day. Wild. So I just want to take a second, guys, to say everybody that's tuned in to the channel for these watch-alongs over on YouTube, I really appreciate you coming to hang out. Thank you so much for the super chats. Thank you for all the interesting questions. That honestly, like, being able to interact and chat with you guys makes this super interesting. One thing I didn't notice real quick, Norris 23 thousandths behind Hamilton. Hamilton almost got him. So absolutely freaking wild. You guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this race, and here's what I'm going to do. I am going to end the stream now. I'm going to focus on the buy me a coffee, and I'm going to get the race analysis out possibly tonight. I'm going to grab some dinner, hang out with my cats for a little bit. My girlfriend's away, so I'm not hanging out with her tonight. And hang out with the cats for a little bit. And yeah. Dude, Chris Beam as well. Thank you for the $4.99 super chat. You absolute legend. I really appreciate that, man. That is super awesome. Alonso podium. So, without any further messing about, I'm going to get out of here. In 30 minutes, the data will be offloaded. I'm going to put this together, and maybe we'll have a watch along to tomorrow to talk about the race here live on stream. But for all of you guys and gals, thank you for hanging out. Thank you for all the support and the kindness and the interesting conversation. and being polite and kind to each other. And also, the Engine Breaking Podcast will be live. Search for Engine Breaking Podcast on YouTube. Give us a subscribe, and we'll be live over on YouTube tomorrow evening. I'm fairly certain. So you guys have a great night, and I'll see you soon, all right? I appreciate you guys. Have a great night.